Hello and welcome back to more TwoSun Tuesday. Today I got the TS138. This is also known as the Dracula. I don't necessarily know exactly why it's got that. Maybe because the flipper tab on it kind of looks like a fang or something like that. Not sure. But yeah, we got a huge thumb lug on this guy. And it covers both sides here. That you can fling that guy out quite a bit with. You can see we do have some interesting lines going on in here. It's very angular or trapezoidal or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's got a lot of different facets to it. That's probably the word that I'm kind of looking for here. This is a Wong design, and it's an M390. Yep, you can do that with the flipper as well. The detent on this one isn't the absolute strongest in the world. The flipper tab still certainly works without, any effort or having to put any wrist into it or anything like that. But it's not super crisp, but that does help the fact that you can deploy this thing super well with these thumb lugs. They are removable in case you do want, a little bit more hole in there for you to do your spidey flicking, which you can certainly do with this guy here. And yeah, we got some nice looking carbon fiber. We have some interesting mill lines kind of going all the way around the outside here. And then we have a deep channel in the middle there. We got kind of a hole at the end here and then a larger hole there. That is mirrored essentially here on the titanium side, or the lock side here. And we do have a clip that kind of fits in there. This one isn't mounted internally because it's part of the back spacer here, so not quite the same as the Maz1 Mokhtar one we looked at last week, but I can certainly forgive that. You can see that we do have a little bit of a curve here, but yeah, it's not really trying to use the thumb lugs here as a blade pin stop. We got that going on the inside here. Now this guy probably looks quite familiar to you, just as far as the blade shape. And if not, well, I can kind of go ahead and show you that this is basically a bougie version of the Cold Steel Tuff-Lite. We have exactly the same kind of finger choil sort of thing going on there, and finger right above and behind. More of that sheep's foot kind of look to it. This one has a little bit more jimping right up top here, and only has that thumb hole because this is using a triad lock. And it's, obviously tip down carry, which is a little unfortunate, but hey, that's the way that they wanted to do it. I still think if they just completely got rid of that whole lanyard thing, we could probably have our clips over there, but oh well, whatever. I'm not the knife designer for that. But yeah, this is very, very similar to that whole thing. We got that spike in the middle there. You can grip it on both sides quite nicely. You still have plenty of jimping. It's just going to grab on the back side of your thumb rather than the front side. But yeah, you still have quite a bit of force going on there. And yeah, it's a fairly high flat grind kind of thing going on there. Obviously, it's sheepsy worn, cliff footy, whatever the heck you want to actually call it. Not cliff footy, that's actually a pancake. But but yeah, the whole worn cliff or sheep's foot kind of blade there. But yeah, very much kind of like a little kind of larger and, as I said, more bougie version of the Cold Steel Tuff-Lite here. Yeah, you can see the blade. It's probably got like another quarter to a third of an inch kind of going on there of usable length, but still very much kind of similar in ergonomics. This one is in M390, so yeah, a little bit higher steel than the AOS 8A that's in here, where hey, I actually mistook this thing a while ago for having 420J2 like some of their replaceable blade ones. But anyway, it's not a review of the Cold Steel. It was just kind of here for a comparison of something that a lot of people are probably a little bit more familiar with. But yeah, I do like this guy quite a bit. You know, you still have a good, what, 3 3/4 inch kind of thing if you want to grab it behind there, or behind the finger choil. And yeah, you obviously, unless you have like Andre the Giant hands, you got plenty of room if you're kind of coming up here. It does straight up come out to the blade, which, you know, that's seems to be the way that almost all kind of finger choil-y sort of things go these days, with the exceptions being Cold Steel and Spyderco, which both kind of have, you know, a little barrier there. Still does make me feel a lot more safe with these little barriers before you get to the blade there. But as I've said, even on Spydercos that do have them, I don't tend to use the finger choils all that much. So yeah, how about if we go ahead and do a little bit of measuremetrics, and then I can go ahead and take a look on the inside of this thing. This guy's not exactly the lightest thing in the known universe. Yeah, we're a little over 4 ounces, 4.15 ounces. Or, yeah, 117.5 grams or so. And for that being, Kerchunk, 2.97 ounces, or inches, not ounces, sorry. So yeah, this is a little over 4 ounces for just shy of 3-inch blade. So yeah, definitely not beating that ounce an inch marker at all. And it's, yeah, 0.5, 7, whatever the heck you want to call it for inches on there. So just a little tiny bit thicker than you know, your standard paramilitary 2 and all that sort of stuff. And let's see, how about that blade stock thickness? I don't want that in fractions. Okay, yep, so it's still 4 millimeters here. So yeah, not absolutely thin sort of stuff, and this thing does kind of have like a mid grind. Comes down to a very, very nice edge, so you don't really have to worry about that so much. But it probably could be just a little tiny bit slicier if these different facets were just one large flat grind. But, you know, obviously this is a little bit more looks and a statement rather than just looking for pure functionality in an aesthetic void. So there you go there. Alright, so yeah, let's take a look on the inside of this guy. This one does have a couple of screws here. We gotta actually take the clip off because it's part of the back spacer here. Well, yeah, actual barrel spacer in the back before the back spacer that was the screw that I just took there. And then, yeah, I put some Loctite all up in that. Yeah, just clear that out just a little tiny bit. I generally do give my pivots just a little bit of a poke. Just kind of encourages them to let go. There we are. And yeah, here we go. We got the clip. Very, very nice clip. Doesn't really create much in the way of a hot spot. Doesn't curl up or anything like that. Does a pretty darn good job of just staying out of the way and being a nice clip. Always a nice thing to see. Now we do have some pockets milled out of this titanium here. We got a fairly large one here. We got an itty bitty one over here. And we even do have a kind of little elliptical one going on the actual lock bar thing here. This area way down here is the over travel stop for the thing. It's built into the hardened steel insert. We have the bearing race as usual on these things. And then we got the blade with, yep, their standard ceramic balls and or ceramic bearings and their nylon cages. So yeah, we can see here that we do have a couple of holes that kind of go on here in the back spacer, and yeah, you kind of got the larger one, probably for a lanyard sort of thing, and the other one is a little bit more of a hole that is a little bit more aesthetic. It kind of goes along with these other holes here. So as far as I'm aware and or concerned, it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. But it's there, and this thing certainly does have some outlandish design kind of going on with it. So. Alrighty. Yep. We have a blade stop pin that goes through the carbon fiber as well as the titanium, which I'm perfectly fine with. It might not be the absolute strongest thing in the world, just due to you know, it being possible at least to mess up holes over time in carbon fiber, but you know, this thing's still built rock solid, and you're not really going to have any problems with any of that sort of stuff, or at least I certainly haven't. We do have this D-shaped pivot here, as you can see here. That does make it just slightly more challenging to put them back together, but as long as you know which way to point the screw, then you're pretty good, honestly. All right. Yep. Let's get that pocket clip back on. I think I swapped those screws around, but I do believe they are the same length. So I think we're good. Yeah. We are good in the neighborhood. All right. Yeah. So that's basically what I do kind of think of this guy. Is a very interesting and very functional model that does kind of follow in that same idea. I'm not saying that it's ripped off the idea of the Tuff-Lite. I mean, heck, these guys were more or less a design taken from like box cutter things like the Milwaukees and stuff like that of the world. So yeah, I can't really say that they're copying a design or anything like that, but it is very much a you know, a pattern. It's I guess a little bit more modern than, you know, your standard Barlow or Stockman's or anything like that. But it's a very common blade shape these days with the whole finger choils and whatnot. And yeah, I do like this guy quite a bit. Quite functional. I still don't quite understand the name Dracula. There's nothing really about it other than you know, the flipper tab kind of looking like a vampire tooth or something like that sticking out either way. That's kind of my only thought on there, because I don't really think of a blade with a lot of facets on it as being vampiric, nor do I really think of a kind of fat sheep's foot kind of thing as that much of a vampiric kind of look to it. But, you know, hey, at least it's got a name, and a lot of these that I look at just kind of have a number associated with it, so that is certainly something. It is a little bit easier to remember something when it's got a name instead of just a number. But, yeah, that's basically what I got to say here of this TS138 Wong design here. Steel on this one is pretty good. It's M390, and at least from my experience with this one, the heat treat on it is pretty darn good. Unfortunately, still, as I've kind of experienced with a little bit newer blade, that they are getting better with their heat treat, but that doesn't mean they've really got it nailed down. There's still some that yeah, are just not really performing up to what they should be, at least for their price. Which is a little unfortunate. That just basically means you still have a fairly functional blade, something that really functions a little bit more around like a 154 cm or a Nitro V kind of thing. But when you are paying for like M390 or S90V, you're getting those kind of mid-tier steel performance, but it still takes a little bit more effort to actually sharpen them up. and ends up costing you more. So that's a little unfortunate. So yeah, definitely in the future, if I do run into any more of these knives and their higher end steels that aren't performing all that great, or if they are performing all that great, I will be sure to mention that. So yeah, as I was saying, just kind of here at the end, this one in M390 is actually doing a pretty darn good job of holding up. And it's a whole lot of fun to be able to use when you really are locked in on that hammer grip. So, alrighty. Well, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Like and subscribe.